From the Podcast Detroit studios and Zoom everywhere else, The Making of Champions. Professional boxers inspiring amateur athletes to become champions. Presented by Joe Louis, champion of them all, Bourbon, and Bigger Than Life Entertainment. In association with USA Boxing, Golden Gloves of America, the producers of MAC Boxing, Making a Champion series, and BigFightWeekend.com. Join your hosts, Tanya Cole and Marquise Johns, with special guests from around the world of amateur and pro boxing, celebrating the legacy of Joe Louis.
Thanks for joining us tonight on the Making of Champions podcast of Podcast Detroit and Joe Louis Bourbon. So I'm Tanya Cole out of Atlanta, Georgia here. And down there in Florida, we've got Marquise Johns with the Big Fight Weekend.
Thank you, Tanya. Great to have you on as always. And this weekend on the episode, we have a man who is going up for his first ever title shot for the WBA Super Welterweight Title on Fox on August 29th. PBC on Fox is the main event. We are joined by the man who's going to take on Arizlandi Lara. We're talking to the villain, Greg Vendetti. Greg, how you doing, sir?
What's happening, guys? Doing great, man. Doing great.
Hey, I want to start with you. Always, Greg. First things first, man. I want to get you talk to me about your opportunity of getting this chance at a title on national television. Tell me how you feel about it.
I mean, how would anyone feel about it? I'm excited, man. I'm real pumped. It just seems like it's meant to be, because this was somebody that my trainer, Joe Ricciardi, predicted that I was going to get this fight maybe about 3 years ago, and I'm not even lying. And then when he got the call, he called me screaming, saying, "I told you, I told you." And then what happened? He's like, "Hey, they called us. They want to see if they want to fight Lara, whatever." And he literally called it about 2 or 3 years ago. So I don't know. I kind of took it as a sign. So I'm real excited. Had a great camp, ready to go.
So he basically said, just call me Nostradamus. But he also, pretty much. He also said about a year ago that you're not doing this fight to prove anything to yourself, that you're doing this to prove something to the world. And what are you trying to prove to the world?
Well, I mean, it's that I'm legit. I mean, I feel having this fight with Lara, and of course wanting to win, but just the idea is to do my best, and I feel that will earn me a seat at the table of legitimacy, just in front of the boxing gods. It will solidify my legitimacy as an actual, real, world-class professional fighter. That's really about it.
Got it.
I don't got nothing to prove to myself. I know what I am now. I've proven it to myself numerous times. But just, so everyone else can see it, I guess.
Absolutely. And I want to talk to you about this, Greg. Actually, speaking of leading up to your fight with us, and the last time you were in action was last year. You opened up, actually, because I saw it was on Fight Night Live on the old Facebook Live program. They had your fight as the main event, opening up the new Encore Casino out there in Everett. Walk me through that last fight and how you pretty much won that fight, pretty much one-sided against Michael Anderson.
Yeah, no, that was cool. I mean, it was a real big buzz. The new casino opening up in Boston was a big deal. And it was awesome to be the first event, and then the first boxing event, and then the first main event. You know what I mean? So it was a lot of firsts there, which was cool. And because it was opening new, it was huge. Everyone and their mother showed up there. It was great. So that was real exciting. As far as the fight goes, yeah, man, I mean, I had a really good camp. Every fight, every camp, I learn a little more. I get a little better, I mean, I'm in that prime age now. I got a lot of experience. I have almost 27 fights, something like that, pro fights. So, but in that fight, I just felt just physically dominant. Like there wasn't anything he could really do to me. If my trainer told me, "Hey, I want you to pick him up with one hand and throw him out of the ring," I probably could do it. It was just, I felt real good in that fight. And he was, Anderson was good. He's a little older, but I mean, he was a real up and coming prospect at one point. I think he was 17-2. He was signed with Top Rank at one point, so he was a real, I wouldn't say a prodigy, but like an up and comer for a while. And so to be able to one-sided landslide victory dominate is like, okay, that's a good sign. 12 rounds. I mean, I think I threw almost 1,100 punches in 12 rounds, which shows like, all right, I got something. I got somewhat of a gas tank. I can go for a little bit at least. So no, it was a good test. It was fun. It was a good time.
Speaking of that test, actually, because with this one with Lara is going to step up in competition, as you well know. The last time you had something along this heights, you had to fly over to France for it with Michael Soro back in 2018.
Yeah.
As you well know, it's on the internet, man. It didn't go.
Hey, it is what it is, man.
Yeah, it didn't go out for you. But just quickly.
Oh, lies.
Tout ça c'est bloqué. Pour l'instant, très bon jeu défensif de la part de Michel Soro. Il a vu l'ouverture, il l'a bien.
Yeah. Quickly went back to that fight back in 2018 with Soro and how everything leading up to that, just how it planned out.
Well, that was kind of along the same lines. We had the fight with Kamagai, which was a really good win, a big win, an entertaining fight as well. So then they pretty much contacted us, asked if we wanted to fight Soro, and you can't say no, man. I mean, I'm not that kind of guy. You can't say no. I mean, there's a lot of people that do say no. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of guys that they talk the talk, but when time to show up it's time to show up, they don't show up. They say no. So I thought to myself, like, hey, I'm 28. Soro, not really built for me, a big dude. But, hey, if I go in and if worst case scenario, I get blasted out of there, I'm 28. I still got time to recover from that. And, like, I'm fighting for, like, not a world title. It was a WA gold world title, I guess. So it's like a minor world title. I'm not sure. So, but I looked at it like a good opportunity for exposure and the experience of going overseas and, like, having a title fight against, highly, highly ranked elite boxer who literally knocks out everybody. Let's face it. And, so I took that as, like, as a good opportunity once again to get my name out there, get the experience and everything and things like that. And I feel, excuse me, that that is one of the reasons I got this fight is because I took that fight, and maybe even because I lost that fight, I also got this fight. Because Soro and Lara are like right there at the moment. So depending on who wins this fight, Lara, they probably want Lara to fight Soro, or possibly even me have a rematch with Soro. So it's 3D chess. Nothing's by accident. You know what I mean? So it's no, that was a good experience. And as far as like the getting knocked out goes, hey man, it's the game, man. It's part of doing business. You know what I'm saying? It's you got to do it for the cause. That's it. So hey, it is what it is. And yeah, I mean, I learned from it, and that's about it for that one. So
absolutely. I'm sorry,
hey, Marquise, can I get in a quick question there? So speaking of the game chess, we've got to set you up, for the checkmate. We don't need you to put you up there as a pawn and to get swiped out. So, you bowed out in the second on that Soro fight. Afterwards, you came out of that with such a fantastic attitude, the resilience, the optimism, self-confidence. How did you develop that? And with that backing, what are you doing about it to prepare for this next fight? Because your coach says you've got it. Your fans said you can take this. So what are you doing about what you learned from that last fight?
Okay, well, as far as where the resilience comes from, I think that just is my life and going back to my childhood and everything. Like I always felt not even myself, I feel like no one expected much from me. You know what I mean? It was always, almost have like a born to lose kind of aura around me from everyone else, not myself. But so I've always had, this has never been easy for me, like ever. Day one, it was, if you could see me where I started, it was laughable. It wasn't anything special at all. But just through committing myself to it and working real hard and never giving up, just believing in myself, really. And that's, if the world doesn't believe you, as long as you believe in yourself, you're gonna make it happen, man. That's it. Like, you're gonna make it happen. So I think even when that knockout happened, like, hey, you get hit in the temple. What are you gonna do? You go down. Yeah. If I was a little smarter, I might have stayed down a little longer instead of getting up at 2. Because there was only about 20 seconds left in the round. So if I grabbed them maybe and held on a little bit, or if I at least got up a little slower, the ref might have let the fight continue, and I might have had the break in between, being able to maybe recover. So that's just experience. You know, I learned that one from that fight. So as far as what I'm doing about it, well, you know, my style it is what it is. It doesn't really change. I try to be aggressive. I try to come forward. Definitely tighten up the defense a lot. A lot more disciplined with my hand placement. My head movement's always been pretty clutch. That's something I've always had down pretty well. Yeah, and I think not being too overly aggressive, being a little smarter, and being a little bit more tactical in my timing with my aggression and when to do it and when not to do it, instead of just having this mentality, oh, I gotta go out and I just gotta fucking kill him and blah. That's not really, you can't get away with that at this level. You know what I'm saying? So I still got that killer in me, but I got to be a little bit more honed with it and try to be a little bit rely on the skill more and be confident that I have the skill. You know what I mean? So
that's what the pawns are for.
That's what that's what the pawns are for. Sure.
Sorry about that, Marquise. Go ahead.
Absolutely, and actually, to piggyback of what you mentioned with controlling the pace, just pretty much getting into the fight, not being as overly aggressive. We had Lamont Roach on about 2 weeks ago, and in his law title fight with Jamel Herring, the biggest issue he had was, and had he said he could start the fight over again, he said he wanted to start out a little stronger because in his fight, kind of similar to what you mentioned, but just the complete opposite, where he didn't get going until pretty much the 10th or the 12th round. So. All right, is your goal, Greg, pretty similar in terms of like just to keep your action going ahead of time? Because your style is pretty come forward, where it's not exactly to sit and pick your spots. Because Roach is more of a counter puncher, waiting for Herring to make a move, who is not really an excessive counter puncher as well. So it kind of, speaking of chess, it kind of went like a checkers in a way. But yeah, so in terms of that, your goal is just pretty much to be simpling against Lara to be more controlled in your ability up front, or just in your attack as well.
Yeah, I mean, be a little bit more patient in the early part of the fights and kind of let it unfold. And I feel, you know, Lara doesn't really like pressure too much. You know, he doesn't like aggression. He doesn't like fighting going backwards. It is possible for me to get him to the ropes and start to do work. You know, he doesn't have that same super agile footwork that he used to when he fought Angulo and Canelo. That's kind of, you don't really see that much from anymore. Yeah. It's the age, you know, he's up there. He's a little long in the tooth, you know. So if I can make him move and make him punch and miss earlier in the fight and not take a lot of damage coming in, and then as the fight progresses, start to slowly pick it up, I'll start to get his timing down a little bit better. And, you know, and then in the last couple rounds, I'd say you gotta try to going for the kill, you know. So yeah, I mean, that's really it. Just kind of slowly wear him down. I can't take a step backwards. If I go backwards and I stand at the end of his range, it ain't happening. It ain't gonna be a good night. So I got to constantly put pressure on him, but methodically. You know what I'm saying? Hands tight. Yes. Don't take a lot of punishment going in. And I tell you, you know, I think I could do it. I really do. I'm really confident. You know. So that's it.
Yeah. All right, we're going to take a quick break with that on the Making of Champions on Joe Louis Bourbon and Podcast Detroit. We'll be back in a minute.
Uppercut. There's the left hand over the top, and there's a big one right there, right on the chin. 2 in a row, and here comes another one. 3, 4 big left hands with a hook in between. There's 5.
Around the globe, they feel it, and you will see it before your eyes. The Making a Champion Boxing Series, presented by Bigger Than Life Entertainment. Punches and punches from boxers dedicated to delivering thunderous and devastating blows.
Oh, a straight right.
From the United States, Africa, France, and beyond. This is a real opportunity to showcase worldwide talent hooked on stardom. Boxers worldwide, their eyes seen live on the CBS Sports Network.
What you're thinking about in terms of what's happening with this next fight? I think you've set us up a little bit with kind of the when and where. You've set us up with the technical aspects, how Greg's going to approach this fight. So what about his competition?
Yeah, in terms of competition, the guy he is facing is Erislandy Lara. And the guy he's facing, and it's funny he mentioned Greg mentioned earlier, the version of the WBA Super Welterweight title, which is on the line of this. Essentially, to those who don't understand how the WBA works, they have their they have their what's like explain how they have their titles set up is they have their titles set up pretty much into like a slice of pizza. Lara has the super version of it, which is the biggest slice of pizza. When Greg faced Soro, he had the gold version of it, which is the second biggest slice of pizza, and then there's other variations of it as well, which is the interim and then regional vitals and so on and so on. But Greg mentioned a great point where he mentioned that it's a chance for revenge, and nothing beats revenge, Greg. And if you were to get past Lara, you mentioned the fight with Soro. I can't think of any other better scenario than you getting a chance to challenge Soro back for that loss in 2018.
Well, I mean, if I do beat Lara in the 29th, we got to, see what the best opportunities are for, going forward. And of course, this is a sport, but at the same time, it's a business. So we got to look at like the financial goals are next. But having a rematch with Soro here in the States, preferably the Garden in Boston, I can't imagine like a better scenario. It's just, he'll be a little older. I'll be a lot more experienced. And I don't know. That'd be something else, but it's all about, of course, like it's a business. And if the money lined up and everything worked out good, then like, oh yeah, that's something I could definitely like see happening in the future without doubt. It'd be great.
Well, Greg, I think, let's see, you're kind of hot today in terms of the news. You're in the Everett Independent as well as the Boston Globe, both today. Have you read those articles yet?
I saw that there was one, I think the Herald. I got to do an interview with the Globe, I think tomorrow or something.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, but
the Boston Herald. That's right.
Yeah, it was the Herald.
That's right. That's right.
It's all good.
And so in the Everett Independent, you said, I think they picked me because I'm entertaining enough to be profitable, but I'm not considered dangerous enough to be a threat. I think they messed up and they don't know about me. I think it's a good opportunity to show the world that I'm the real deal. Now, being the villain that you are, don't let them underestimate you.
Oh, no.
That's a little bit of advice. Just a little bit of advice.
But I mean, that's really like, going back to, it is a sport, but at the same time, it's a business, and I think they a lot of people look at me and, like I said, my style is entertaining. My persona, I guess, if you want to call it, is a little entertaining. Enough to, draw in an audience, be a little profitable. I'm going to push the pace. I'm not one of these counter guys, so him and me are just going to waltz in front of each other for 12 rounds. I'm going to push the pace. I'm going to try to, make it action-packed. But I'm not considered dangerous enough to be a threat, you know what I'm saying? So it's like a risk versus reward. And I don't blame them. Like, I don't take it personal. I understand it. I'm a flat-footed 5'6" white kid from the burbs, you know what I mean? Like, hey, it is what it is. I don't have a amateur background or anything, So I understand that, but this has been a common theme in my whole career where that same equation that I just gave you, risk versus reward, and I always rise to the occasion every time. So with the exception of Soro, hey, you got to tell it like it is. But, I mean, for the most part, more often than not, that's how it goes, and I always rise to the occasion, So I think I don't know. I think they did a miscalculation. I think they were, trying to play that 3D chess, but I think I got them in check right now. So we'll find out, though. I'm confident.
There you go. Big things do come in small packages. They got to watch out for that.
There we go.
So I know, Patricia, in your last talk with Peter and Michael, I don't know what Peter's doing. He's probably on some boat somewhere. Michael's probably back in that, hiding in that speakeasy. But when Patricia asked you about some of the pointers that you would give the youth kind of coming up in boxing, you gave these suggestions. Don't try to be the bruiser. Train, condition. Consider your skill and try not to get hit. Are you going to take your own advice in this next fight? Well,
I mean, that's always like the plan is hit and don't be hit, that's definitely like I say, you don't want to be one of these guys that uses face as a catcher's mitt. You don't let anyone talk to you like, oh yeah, being tough and coming. No, that never works out in the end. It really doesn't. So if you have that, it's good to know you have it, but don't rely on it for success. Like, it ain't going to happen. It's tough ain't enough. You got to have the skill and focus on the skill. So now in this fight, I've really polished the skill. to the best of my ability, and I've really sharpened up to the best of my ability. It's good to know I have that ability to get rough and tough and, you know, get violent and everything like that. But it's not something I'm looking to really, really focus and rely on. Like I said earlier, it's controlled aggression. It's methodically coming forward, putting pressure on them without, you know, getting hit with nonsense that I shouldn't get hit with. So that's as far as if my advice to the youths. And also something else, read about finance. That's something that if guys that are coming up, young kids, boxers, they want to be pro or go pro, it's good, you know, you have people around you that help you and they guide you and they take care of you, but it's always good to like understand more of yourself of what's going on. So, I mean, if you don't even like to read, there's plenty of audiobooks out there, but yeah, I definitely recommend understanding how money works, what to do with it after the fight. So, because I mean, you see a lot of guys, they have good careers and they even make some money, but then 5 years after, they're, you know, digging ditches. You know what I'm saying? It's hard labor, something like that. So it's unfortunate, it's sad. Yeah. But, you know, you can't, you got to kind of expect it in this game. You know what I'm saying? It's like, there's no unions. You know, there's no boxer unions where we have like rights or anything. No, it's the Wild West. So you got to take it upon yourself to educate yourself. So, you know, you don't get screwed, basically, you know?
Right.
So
I think Joe Louis said, you know, everybody's got a plan until they get hit. And I know that you talked in the last podcast with Peter and Michael about maybe fighting until you're about 33, right? Or so.
Yeah.
Has that changed?
Well, no, I mean, you got to play it by ear, of course. Like, I'm not going to put a timeline on anything. I mean, that'd be foolish. But 33 seems like a nice age to retire. I could say I was a pro for 10 years, and win or lose this fight, if I have a good fight and I put on a good show, I mean, 33, I mean, what's that, 3 more years? You know, have maybe like 4 or 5 fights, you know what I'm saying? 4 or 5 more good fights. Yeah, I don't know. That'd be a nice, I'd be proud of that. Something I can hang my hat on, you know what I mean? So, pro for 10 years, finished with about, what do I got now, 27, over 30 professional fights, you know, decent record, maybe a title, you know, so, yeah, but, you know, of course, if my health doesn't hold up in the next few years, like, you gotta call it quits. It ain't worth being brain damaged, you know?
Yeah. There you go. Okay, so more with Greg Vendetti, with the Making of Champions on Joel's Bourbon and Podcast. Detroit comes back after this, and we'll find out what the business tells him as to what the next plans are going to be. All right, so we're back. Greg, I know you've given us sort of a little bit of a blueprint of what you're thinking about. What are your next plans? I know that there's this new Broadway boxing club out there, and you're working with the youth. What's next for you?
Okay, well, I mean, after the fight, you know, win or lose, draw, whatever. Yeah, I mean, I work. I'm a plumber. I got a plumbing license, so that's something I do. And I also teach at a couple boxing gyms, a couple title boxing gyms, you know, little classes, do personal training, which, you know, it's fun. I enjoy it. And, yeah, I recently bought some property. You know, I got a couple multifamilies, or one multifamily, I should say, but I'm planning on a couple. And that's going well, you know, working on the houses, things like that. And just trying to, with this money I've made from boxing, I'm trying to generate wealth, not so much just be rich, you know what I mean? So I'm trying to make this stuff like, you know, buying up assets, not liabilities, you know what I'm saying? You won't see me driving anything old, you know, newer than a 10-year-old car for the next probably, I don't know, 5 or 6 years, you know what I mean? So, but yeah, it's really it, just trying to be smart with the money and smart with the cash, and you know, keep teaching the classes and I teach a couple kids up at the Broadway Boxing Club, which is fun. You know, I think that's something that a lot of young boys need now, especially, is just somewhere to put this energy and aggression. Because, I mean, let's face it, school, it ain't designed for an energetic young kid. I mean, if anyone knows that better, it's me, you know?
Yeah.
So it's good to have a place where they can go and just get it out and not have to worry about whatever, saying something that's mean, that hurts someone's feelings or whatever. I mean, you can literally punch each other and get in fights and, like, not get in trouble. So I think it's a lot of young boys, especially troubled kids, you know, it's good for them. It's good for them to, you know, they build confidence and they build self-esteem, and they don't have to act like a tough guy or anything because they know they got it. They proved it to themselves in the gym, so they don't have to do it out in the street. You know what I'm saying? So that feels nice to do. I'm probably going to do that for probably the rest of my life. I don't think that's ever not going to be a part of me. So yeah, that's about it.
Marquise, what you got?
Absolutely. I want to follow up on something you mentioned earlier, Greg. You mentioned 10 years and out. And I think it's an ideal goal for a lot of boxers because you see some boxers actually take that up for awards. Latest memory is James Eubank, who got in and got out after 10 years last year and retired. Then you see a lot of these fighters who are still fighting way past this. I mean, you're facing Lara, who's 37. I mean, as you know in the news, Mike Tyson and Roy Jones are fighting in their mid-50s. I mean, in fact, as this is recording, you may have seen it, may or not have seen this. Oscar De La Hoya announced on ESPN he's coming back out at 47. So, explain to everybody the importance of you just actually having pretty much a solid 10 years, like a ribbon, just to signify the importance of your boxing career.
Well, I think, like I said, kind of like you can't put a timeline on it. Because even Lara, for example, he's 37, and he's had some rough ones recently, but he's not like this big, aggressive bruiser type of guy. You know what I'm saying? He's had a lot of amateur fights, but he's always been like he's a master of the skill. You know, he's always been like a boxer, counter-puncher type dude, not taking a lot of damage. So certain guys with certain styles, they can kind of last a little longer than someone like, you know, maybe me, who's more aggressive and tries to get in the trenches a little more, you know. So I think that has a lot to do with it, the styles and such. But, yeah, man, you see it a lot with, I mean, guys that are great and guys that aren't even really that good. There's just something it's hard to find something else that compares to getting in the ring in front of all those people and fighting, you know what I mean? And fortunately for me, I've got other things I can do for money, and I'm not boxing something I enjoy. It's not something I need financially, and I have a lot of other things I want to do in life. And I'm, you know, even though I love boxing, I'm excited for this fight, and I'm excited for the rest of my career. I'm also excited to see what after boxing I can do. I mean, I have a lot of things I want to do, like I said, and so it's, you know, for a lot of guys, it seems like this is all they got. They got nothing else, you know, and that's why you see a lot of guys that retire. Where do they go? They go into drugs. They go into drinking. They got nothing to fill the void. You know what I mean? So it's unfortunate. It's sad, but you know, boxing gotta be something that you do when you enjoy. It can't be your whole life because it's not here forever. Eventually you have to stop. Eventually it goes away. Yeah. And if you're not prepared for that when it happens, like you might suffer a bit. It might be hard for you. So I don't know. You gotta find other things to do, I guess, that you enjoy.
Well, it's great. It sounds like you have a plan, but the here and now, your plan is to cash in on Lara in a couple of weeks.
That's right.
All right. That's the plan. That's the plan.
That's right.
Greg, how can we find you on social media?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram at GregV781. Greg the Villain Vendetti. Facebook, I'm just I think Greg Vendetti or Gregory Vendetti. Hold on, I can tell you right now. Greg Vendetti, yeah.
Okay.
Greg Vendetti on Facebook. Yeah, that's about it. I mean, I know I'm supposed to, but I'm not super active on it. It's just not really my thing. But I am there. We post some things here and there and stuff like that. So, you know, I definitely put all the fight news out there and things the important shit people got to know, but I don't take pictures of my food or my apps or whatever the hell people do. I don't, yeah. Inspirational quotes that I picked off the internet. I don't do anything like that.
There you go. Marquise, recap for us. How can we watch the fight?
Absolutely. We can watch this fight with Greg in the main event, closing out the PBC on Fox show, the Fox Free TV. If you have a regular TV or in the old satellite converter box, you can watch this on Fox. Saturday, August 29th, fight card starts at 8 p.m. Eastern. More than likely, Greg will be on in the 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock hour, but he will be in the main event taking on Larry Londa for the WBA Super Welterweight title.
All right, Greg, the villain Vendetti, we wish you the best. We're still following you. Thank you so much for coming back a second time. We hope that you can make it out to see us again after this fight. All the best.
This won't be the end. Win, lose, or draw. I'll be back for a couple more.
Oh, it's going to be a win. It's a checkmate.
I feel it. I really feel it.
Checkmate. Take care, and thank you.
All right, thank you, dear. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Greg.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us tonight on the Making of Champions podcast with Joe Louis Bourbon and Podcast Detroit. Good night.
Thank you both.
All right. Thank
Watch
you.
for it tomorrow.
Will do. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Absolutely.
Nice job.
Marquise, do you have 2 minutes, 2 seconds?
Yeah, I'm not going anywhere. Go ahead.
Okay. So, how you feeling?
He fought for a nation.
Schmeling was the Goliath. Lewis was the David.
Probably the only time in history of America that a black man ended up being a white hope.
This fight was the biggest fight in the history of the world.
In the middle of the 20th century, with their country in crisis, Americans found that hero among their own.
We're going to do our part, and we will win because we are on God's side.
His stage was so big that downtrodden Americans, regardless of their age or race, felt a glimmer of hope creep into their lives just by watching him. In the end, he was a common man who reached the top and brought an entire country with him.
From the Podcast Detroit studios and Zoom everywhere else, the Making of Champions. Professional boxers inspiring amateur athletes to become champions. Presented by Joe Louis, champion of them all, Bourbon, and Bigger Than Life Entertainment. In association with USA Boxing, Golden Gloves of America, the producers of MAC Boxing, Making a Champion series, and BigFightWeekend.com. Join your hosts, Tanya Cole and Marquise Johns, with special guests from around the world of amateur and pro boxing, celebrating the legacy of Joe Louis.